Would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Dussault? Ms. Schwartz?
Here.
Mr. Downey?
Here.
Chairman Runge?
Here, and I do have an excuse for Ms. Dussault, so we'll recognize that. Could I ask for an approval of the minutes or comment on the last section of minutes? Anybody have any changes?
I approve.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. Seeing nobody in the audience, I'm guessing we have no public comment this morning, so we move on to item 4A, which is an update on the urban forestry grant. Nanette, do you have anything for us?
I do. So this grant package, I hadn't actually perused it super carefully the last time we were there. I think I only got it a week before. This grant opens, which means it has to be into them the 31st of this month, and that time constraint is not possible to get everything that needs to be in this package in that period of time. You have to develop your project, you have to develop the budget.
I can't hear yours either.
You have to get a resolution from the council.
Yeah.
The budget has to be, the grant package has to be all completed, and then you have to give it to the council for a resolution. Clearly, there wasn't enough time to do all that. So my suggestion is that this happens every year, and I think, I want to say I probably started on the planting grant in January. I know I had a real big window to do the planting grant, because that took a lot of time. That we put it on the calendar, if Rita would remind everybody, in like November, and then we can start talking about it and getting everything solidified, because you have to have a developed budget, exactly what you're going to do. I have to get 3 civic organizations endorsing it. I have to have it all finished and then go to the council for a resolution. So if we can really get a meaty project that's worthwhile doing a grant for, and get that whole conversation going early enough, then all of that stuff can be done. A month and a half just isn't enough time. I did, however, look into signage, and we were talking about possibly doing some signage for the plant groupings on 20th, and it really wasn't a lot of money. It was signs that were printed up that talked about the plants. It was less than $300. It's not really worthwhile running a grant for that, frankly.
No.
I mean, you spend more time doing the paperwork. And the 4th grade forestry, I hadn't really been involved in that with you guys, and so I was looking at it, and that's a developed nationwide program that is, the only thing that it does is give trees through sponsors, different businesses and civic organizations, to children to plant. That's their sole purpose, because they saw the activities that were happening in Arbor Day, that happened when Arbor Day first started, starting to wane. So they wanted to reignite that activity with children. And they went out and planted a lot of stuff with the kids, all in all the different states. That's their only purpose for being there. The 4th grade foresters.
Okay.
And they have their website with all their educational information. I didn't really see a nexus between this grant and developing educational packets to what, getting information about that out, because it's a very specific, it's for 4th graders, So, and again, I don't think that would be thousands and thousands of dollars either. I think we need to come up with a better, really meaty, meaningful, lasting project to do. And I think if we start having that conversation earlier on,
even now,
at the end of this year, then we can be prepared for next year, because they do this every year.
And what are the parameters of that again?
Well, you have, I think there's 4 different headings. Hang on.
And then, Nanette, if we got in with that grant, can you, how am I going to word this? Can you continually, if you have a project, tap into that every year and add to that same project, or does it have to be a project that started and stopped with that specific grant?
Well, for instance, if you have, we talked about 20th Avenue. If you wanted to do another section of that, you could do another grant for that.
Okay.
If you're talking about, if you wanted to do additional plantings in an area that was already planted, I'm sure you could. But again, the planting part is only 20% of the money that they give out. And I know from experience, because I've done a few of these.
Yeah, you have.
You go lower on the list.
Exactly.
If you've already gotten one. If you're doing the planting. Because they want other people to get the planting money.
Or you come up with a significant idea that's going to really wow them, and they say we have to give it to
You
them.
have 4 areas. Active involvement by community tree boards or citizen tree advisory groups. Development of urban tree management plans based on current inventory data. Program oversight by qualified professional staff or professional consultant. Development of a tree ordinance that will enforce community tree care standards. So that's what they're focusing on. The Forestry Service is focusing on to strengthen the urban forestry programs. And then it breaks it down to educational. So category 1, you can do ordinance development or revision, which might not be a bad idea for us.
Right.
Tree inventories, management or master plans, in-house training, staffing, student internship, and equipment. Then you have the planting, which is demonstration or site-specific projects, which we did. Then you have nonprofit organizations, administration of that, which we wouldn't fall into. Then we have information and education, which is what we were looking at.
Right.
So you have educational programs, Arbor Day programs, and that's for development, planning, advertising, and organizing of local Arbor Day programs. If you'd like, I could send you guys copies of this too.
Yeah, I want to get the link to it, please.
Workshop, training sessions, conferences, seminars, youth programs, public service materials. That's something that we can talk about too. Volunteer training, brochures, and web page development.
Yeah, see, we're tapping into a lot of those things from
exhibits,
other ideas, yeah.
And wildfire safety, firewise promotion.
That's a good grant.
And there was something that, when I first was looking at this, the ISA does a lot of, there's already information out there on their website. They have all these really neat handouts that they do. Pruning young trees, pruning mature trees, how to pick the right tree, right plant, right place.
Yeah.
Why topping hurts, palms, avoiding tree and utility conflicts, new tree planting. There's everything that's been developed by the International Society of Arboriculture. It may be worthwhile talking about getting a lot of copies of these things that are already existing and getting them out to the community, whether it's via the utility bill or bulk mailing. But this grant can give you the funds to pay for that postage.
Right.
Because the postage becomes the
that's
issue.
always been an issue in the past.
Right.
Yeah,
but this is aimed at educating homeowners
One thing
as well.
One thing about that too that you bring up, and we all kind of should know it and maybe don't, is that the tree is a living part of whatever your community at the house is. Not like a child or something. It's not like you just plant it there and okay, there's the tree. You have to think about the lines, what kind's going to be the best. If it's going to drop leaves, it's going to. Do you want to rake? It is more involved.
There's a lot of consideration.
And maybe people just don't know, right?
I never forget. I was driving by. I think it was probably in Miami. This family bought this house, and they bought a really beautiful little Bismarckia palm in a 3-gallon pot, and they planted it this far away from their house. And there was an overhang there, and I just drove by and shook my head, thinking that tree's going to go away at some point. So,
people just don't know.
Yeah, and
they
really. That's a mechanism of asking whoever is selling it to you as well, because obviously it's not going to stay that small. But there's definitely stuff we could do on the website.
Yeah.
Now, there's not as much cost associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we could talk about. Holt said we can put anything we want linked to videos and such when we were talking about that last time that wouldn't use up the network space. So there are methodologies that we have that you could do external links, so we can put links to stuff like this on, any of the educational material. That's kind of there's no cost, so we don't have to worry about that. But, if there's something that we want to do, I was thinking in the vein of educational material signage. If you wanted to do something that was more oomphy, like something they do in a national park, you could look at an area like Charles where it's all natives, and we have the walking trails, and you have the oaks and the pines and the serenoa and whatever else is growing in there, and do signage in there, and maybe do a big sign at the beginning. I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff out. But all of that stuff, we need to really solidify, because when you do the grant, you have to have a hard budget, and then what we're going to do in kind. So I've got to put man hours and all that stuff in. And it does take time to develop all that.
Yeah. I'd like to plant a seed, and what I'd like to do is stick on the education aspect of this. And basically inside the city grounds, there are several different environments, and what I'd like to offer as a suggestion is to continue with the education plaques, picking a beachside park for its environment, Pioneer Dune, Lowland Hammock, and the salt terrain that's there. Pick a wetland park such as Riverside, where we can teach about mangroves. Pick a hammock park such as Riverside, where we have an existing oak and palm hammocks, and then put a display inside a playground. So we're reaching all the generations within inside City of Vero Beach. Playground might be very child-oriented, something that a parent and a child can interact together, because we know that an educated public is a wise public. And as much as a website is nice, we're going to be choosing parks where we know people go. You know that on South Beach on a weekend, that parking lot is so packed that you can't get a spot.
Correct, absolutely.
I'm sure that more people pass through South Beach than pass through the city's website.
Oh, I'm sure too.
Same with Riverside. If we had educational signs out along the paths that are used for the art show, how many people would pass by those?
Or the jogging trail.
Or the jogging trail, or any one of
every
these
day.
pre-existing parks where we could create not a plastic laminate sign, but a very nice bronze plaque or something that's permanent.
Or like they do in the national parks, they have those ones that are enclosed. And we have something similar on Veterans Island.
They have the audio ones, too. I don't know how expensive those are.
You have to have electricity for those.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Well,
that
the
if we
lights are
had
there.
something that would give the name of the tree, its lifespan, I'm sure that there are programs out there that already precede us, like something that might be in place at the ELC. They might be able to provide some direction because they're educational.
Yeah.
The more we can focus on something that already exists and add to it as opposed to creating something new,
right.
we're building upon an already existing foundation. So I accept your idea. There's not enough time to get it done now, but I would like to set the goal and continue with the charge that we gave you at the last meeting to work on this.
And I think that's a really great idea, and we can look at finding out sources for things like that and what I can do. If that's what the committee wants, the commission wants as a whole, then I can come back and we can look at different signage, and we can kind of really narrow it down, and then we'll be ready and we'll know what kind of money we're looking at, because this is a 50-50.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And we can't use, we can only use the Tree and Beautification Commission's funds, not the tree mitigation funds. The tree mitigation funds where the 50,000 or so is only for tree planting. Mm-hmm. So, I think there's around 5,000. It's been a while since we've had a.
When is the next submission date for the grant?
This time next year.
Is there a date?
It's always it opens at the end of March, and I think the paperwork is out by the beginning of the year. I know that when I did that 20th Avenue, I had plenty of time because that took a long time to go back and forth.
Yeah.
And again, you have to have the whole grant package done and then give it to the council to make a resolution and say, yes, we are going to support this. So it's you have that time constraint as well, but it has to be in their office 2 p.m. March 31st.
What I'd like to suggest is that by June of 2016, we have our program formalized.
I think
By
that's
August of 2016, we've created our budget so we can go before the council and be ready to make our submission. So that we've set some achievable
and then
dates.
it's just filling in the paperwork, which
Yeah.
is pretty much the same all the time. They use the same budget forms and such. So
So I'd like to say that we pick, South Beach or Humiston, which are two, or JC, because that's one coastal
one of the beach
environment.
parks.
Pick one of our parks that has wetlands, which is obviously Riverside, and pick one that has an oak and a palm hammock, and then maybe pick Pocahontas, because that is probably the most traversed city playground. Any comments on that idea?
No, I think that's. I think it's absolutely great to have using a park where people already go. Is you've got a captive audience, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Rather than a website. Which
And I'm thinking Charles Park is a great one for.
I would.
For
for
the oak and palm, yeah, that'd be
and
great.
pine, because you have the pines there too. So you could even do a couple, because you have the pine palmetto. Don't know if it's really. I think it's more leaning towards the pine palmetto, which there isn't a lot
Yeah,
left, because
I'd say
that's the
so.
stuff that gets built on all the time.
Right.
We've added in some oaks, but
It's nice to spread it out throughout the.
yeah, and you've got the walking trails there as well.
Right.
So that Charles Park gets a lot of use.
Yeah,
And
it
I couldn't
does.
agree with you more. It's taking something that we know people are going, they're captive, they're already walking these trails, and they're thinking about their day. Well, here's something to stop and educate them with.
I agree.
And as you said before, we've already applied for planning, and so let's gain some points in education.
Right.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Next item. Any more conversation on that? Before you each have a color map of the city of Vero Beach, I will suggest that you probably do need to take a highlighter and find the city limits on it because it's very irregular. And Nanette, if we so wished, could we get a copy of the 24 by 36?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want one of those.
Okay.
Would
I
you like
will
to-
have him.
So
make-
could you get one for each commission member for next meeting?
Yes.
Great.
And Maryland, so 4 you.
Right.
Arbor Day, April 29th, 2016. We've got a letter that's been sent to Rosewood. They've agreed. We're waiting for a time back from them. Do we get to bring the old rusty shovel?
Yeah. The rusty shovel and the non-rusty shovel.
And have you found
Yes.
us a tree?
Everything outdoors is going to do a tababuya.
Okay. Color?
The
Yellow?
the pallida.
Good.
The
Good.
pink.
Okay. That would be great.
Yeah. And we'll do it in the back there where we did the oaks.
Question: with the approval of the new skate park, are we gonna impact and put the tree in an area where it might become a skate park?
No. The skate park is slated to be developed in the soccer fields,
Okay.
and that's the extent. Where we're planting is between the pool and the center stage.
Same place. We sort of put the oak tree there.
Correct.
That works for me. Item number 5, new business. I see none. There's nobody out there to bring us any new business. Do we have a treasury report today?
I asked,
Gail?
yeah, Ms. Lafferty for it. She said she didn't get it in chance to get it before she had to go out of town. So
That's okay. We haven't spent any money.
No,
No.
I just don't know what's gone into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Chairman's matters. I have a couple items. I appeared before the city council on Tuesday night and made the request verbally that a joint task force be formed for the Centennial Tree Project. They came back to me and said, we'd like a letter. We'd like something formal. And so before you have a letter that's been penned, a draft, to Mayor Kramer and the city council members from myself. And I would like to leave this in your hands for the next month, until the next meeting, so that you can come back with your comments, so that you feel that you have a value share in this. I do have a couple changes. I dictated this on my phone while I was sitting eating lunch. And so I would like to strike from the letter where it says, please accept this letter of, take out letter of, and just have it say, please accept this correspondence. I would also like to change the word that says form a joint committee to create a joint committee. In the second paragraph, I would like to strike the word will from the sentence that says, we trust that each of you will understand, and have it simply say that you understand. And then that would be my only changes.
Okay.
But really, gives this some thought. And then once this letter goes, they've asked me to come back and make a formal presentation to them, which I'm happy to do because this is a project of great merit.
Okay.
I mean, the thought process is, as Mr. Salt said, to get someone from each one of the involved parties. So we have Parks and Recreation, Planning, Zoning, everybody who might have their finger in the pie, so that everybody is working towards one common goal.
Okay.
As opposed to us just going, this is what we would like you
Right,
to
exactly.
do.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
On the Million Orchid Project, I emailed them.
As did I.
Sent them 2 emails with no response.
I haven't gotten any response either. I don't know if that's just because they're too busy or.
What I'd like to say,
Yeah.
suggest, Rita, do you have the copy of the email I sent them? So, not with you, it doesn't matter. What I'd like to do is maybe could we put that on letterhead and I'll come in and sign it and we mail it to them? Sure. And that will be our final step.
It'll be yeah.
We've done everything we can. I did hear them on NPR. They've expanded this project into the city schools to get the kids involved.
Oh, wow.
So it's ongoing. It's just a matter, I think they're knee deep.
Yeah, and I really think they're focusing on South Florida. But that doesn't mean that if we reached out to them, that they wouldn't,
Okay, someone's got to reach back.
Yeah.
Those were the only 2 items I have. Do either of you 2 have anything you'd like to bring forward today?
I am,
I do not.
I am swamped from before. No.
Okay, hearing none, we have the next meeting on April 21st, 2016. Please mark your calendars, and at that meeting, if you could bring back the letter with your comments, that would be great.
I'm sorry, did we set up a time for the Arbor Day planting?
No, we're waiting for Rosewood to hear,
Oh, okay.
to hear back from
what
Rosewood
time is good
with
for
the
them?
time.
Okay.
I spoke with the principal yesterday, and she said she'll talk with the classrooms and see which one works the best and what time works best for them.
And you'll
Okay.
notify all of us.
And I will
Yeah, you'll
notify.
send
So-
us an email.
So we're going to do the meeting and then have
week
the
later.
Arbor Day planting
Yeah,
on the 29th. Okay.
yeah.
And
I know sometimes in the past
Well,
that one was skipped, but that's
we'll be brief.
yeah.
Are we not doing the 4th grade foresters this year?
That's something that we can continue to discuss. We've heard that they're a very specific program.
Yes, I know.
And
We modified it in the past years.
Yeah, what I would suggest is that all of us between now and the next meeting take some time and review their criteria and see how we can't go back to the schools and say, we want to continue, but in a manner that meets your requirements, not ours.
Okay.
So
Well, I think
give us some.
you had a good suggestion because education rather than just giving them a tree.
Right. But at the same time, I think we need to listen to what Nanette said and blend with their already existing program and somehow complement it. It's a challenge.
Yeah. No.
If you can't win a kid over with ice cream, what's it going to take?
Good.
Yeah.
Here's grow a tree. We're going to buy you and your family ice cream.
Right.
But for the next meeting, please give it some thought, and we'll bring that back up. And could you put that on the agenda for the next meeting?
Sure will.
Hearing no other matters, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.